I killed Dormammu with all my immense powers from all the Dragon Ball characters. I can even use magic with key energy, making me more powerful than anyone that uses magical energy, which means not only did I defeat Dormammu, but I was also able to absorb his magic just like certain characters in Dragon Ball Z. After I absorbed all of Dormammu's magic and his realm became mine, the pact that he had with Yao was null and void, and after I freed Yao from Dormammu, she was so grateful that she taught me everything she knows about magic, and she even had sex with me, and I got Yao pregnant, and Yao is now currently on top of me riding my large member in the cowgirl position, and I came inside her vagina so many times that I lost count, and I made love to Yao so long in Dormammu's dimension that it seemed like an eternity, and it felt so wonderful. It was like making love to peace itself, and she made love to me so sensually, and slowly it felt amazing, and then she finally started giving me oral pleasure very slowly, and then I went cross-eyed and my mind broke from the massive orgasm I was now feeling, and then I suddenly passed out and she was still having sex with me because I could still feel the warmth of Yao's body, and I yelled, "Oh God baby, yes I love you so much, oh yes you are making me feel so good," and then I had such a massive orgasm that I completely passed out and I slept for days, and Yao slept with me and my body was still shaking and I could barely catch my breath, and I had a dream while I was holding Yao in my arms gently. We both slept together for a long time and I slept for what seemed like forever, and then I finally woke up from what seemed like a coma, and then Yao said, "Good morning handsome," and Yao was still in her sexy lingerie, and I said, "Oh that really happened I guess," and she said, "Well of course it did darling," and then I asked, "Why did that feel so good? Did you use magic on me?" And then Yao said, "Yes and no, you see it's complicated since you and I are part of the same magical force. It felt incredible, which is why I don't do this very often." Yao said, "But you are just so handsome that I couldn't resist anymore. I've never seen a man like you before." And then I asked her, "How long was I asleep?" And then she said, "Now don't get upset, but you were asleep for nearly a year." And then I said, "What? No. What happened? Is everything okay? Please tell me nothing bad happened." And then she said, "Oh I couldn't resist, I'm just kidding." And I said, "Oh my God, please don't do that again." And then she sat down on my lap and she said, "Oh that was absolutely wonderful and I loved every second of that darling." And then I said, "Well I guess we have plenty of time." And then she said, "For now, but we will need to leave Dormammu's dimension very soon because you and I do need to go back to the real world very soon, but I must admit that having sex with you is very addictive." And then I said, "Yes it felt amazing, I've never felt like that before," I said with surprise, and Yao said, "Yes me neither." And then she said, "Like I said, it only felt that good because you and I are a part of the same magical force, and when you and I had sex our magical energy turned into sexual magical energy, and that's why it felt so good." And then I said, "Wow incredible, so that's why it felt so amazing." And then Yao said, "Yes, that's why I also don't have sex with ordinary human men because it would overwhelm their mortal bodies and probably cause them to die." And then I asked, "Why am I the exception?" And then Yao said, "Because you are not an ordinary human anymore, your powers are absolutely infinite because your magical powers are literally connected to your soul and your life force energy, which is why making love to you felt so wonderful and amazing." And then Yao started having sex with me again and I went cross-eyed again and I said, "Oh my God baby, don't stop." And then I came inside Yao's vagina so many times again I lost count and I loved it, and then Yao gave me oral pleasure again and I nearly passed out again, but I got stronger after the last time Yao and I had sex, so I decided to have sex with Yao in every sexual position, and this time Yao passed out after going cross-eyed, and now I'm giving Yao oral pleasure, and now Yao is riding my member again in the cowgirl position and we are both holding each other, and then suddenly me and Yao both went cross-eyed again while holding each other during sex. We passed out again, and then I used my Majin Buu clone to stay with Yao for now, and then I went back home. Meanwhile Yao continued to have sex with my magical clone for many days, and then I finally got back home to Katie and my wives, and they both said, "Matthew, you have been gone for 7 days, we got worried about you." And then I said, "I'm sorry, I was approached by a strange woman calling herself the Sorcerer Supreme, and she wanted my help with something, so I helped her, and after I helped her she was so grateful that she had sex with me for many days and it felt absolutely wonderful. I'm sorry to worry all of you."